From a bonny sunrise in Aberdeen, Scotland, welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
Coming up this week, is cycling's history repeating itself? We have the worst and the best of cycling's reinventions and comebacks.
We've also got the most botched wheel change you have ever seen, a new miracle training session, and a close shave for Ollie. This week in the world of cycling, we learnt that the link-up between the Bahrain McLaren cycling team and the McLaren Formula 1 high-performance team is going great guns.
Indeed, this is Phil Bauhaus stopping at the side of the road with a puncture. This is the team mechanic rapidly bringing him a spare wheel. And this is team principal Rod Ellingworth rapidly taking that spare wheel back to the car.
Absolutely love that clip. I can't believe it hasn't gone viral already. We also learnt this week that whilst it would cost you $30,000 to do a few rides of Lance Armstrong over in Mallorca, it will actually only cost you $14.5 million to live in his house.
Bargain. Do you want to go halves, mate?
Well, I couldn't quite afford that even if we went half-side, really? But I have come up with a business plan. If we do our own training camp in Mallorca, charge people $30,000 per person, we'd only need to attract about 500 people to get his house.
Bargain. Now, we also learned this week that the Dutch Headwind Championships unfortunately had to be abandoned halfway through because of high winds. And in a similar vein, the Old Man Winter gravel race in the US had to be abandoned due to winter.
Yeah. What I loved most about that Dutch Headwind Champs was the fact that the organisers set up an area at the finish line which they called the vomit area, complete with handlebars to perch yourself on and a big bag underneath to catch the sick, I guess.
That's disgusting. And you'd have to be careful, wouldn't you, with wind that strong, where you kind of aimed.
Yeah, you'd want a tailwind at that point, and also to give it a wide berth if you were walking around. Now, also this week, something popped up on our radars, which was very interesting indeed. A brand new product from Cyril Cycles. It's called the Connect Stem, and it promises 20 millimeters of suspension travel.
Yes, not a terrible idea, you might think. Clearly not, in fact, because it's got plenty of backers on Kickstarter. However, we do have a slight issue with it, don't we?
We do.
Because this innovation has already happened.
And we're not talking about the Redshift suspension stem from just 3 years ago. We're talking about the Gauffin Flex stem from the late 80s and early 90s. That was on trend, wasn't it, with its fluoro yellow design, but let's not beat around the bush here, Si, because that was widely regarded as one of the worst mountain bike products ever invented.
Yes, and it was consigned to the parts bin so rapidly, partly because RockShox went and invented the suspension fork at about the same time, didn't they? And so, if you've been around cycling for long enough, well, like Dan has, you've been around it for a long time, then you will be raising an eyebrow at suspension stems cropping back up.
Well, yeah, because we've seen them before, haven't we? It's history repeating itself. It's the same thing. Off-road bicycle is invented. First up, people start complaining about the name, in this case, gravel bike. And then not long after that, the quest for comfort starts, doesn't it? In fact, I just got a suspicion that Niner's full suspension gravel bike is just taking 5 years off the product development cycle.
I think it might be, mate. Yeah, they have basically been around long enough that they've spotted a trend and they've jumped on it. And so, what other trends and comebacks can we spot?
Well, we've spotted one already, Tinker Juarez.
Tinker Juarez, as in the mountain bike legend that was probably racing as long ago as Gauffin Flex stems were in action.
Exactly.
He must be nearly 60.
He is. He's 58 actually, but he won't be making a comeback because apparently he's never gone away. He finished second at the Rock Cobbler just this weekend gone by, a gravel race.
Wow. Well, to be fair, as impressive as that is from Tinker, and it is very impressive, I was kind of thinking more along the lines of trends that we could spot that we could then maybe profit out of.
Oh, I see.
So, you know, like...
So we can afford Lance's house.
Exactly. Jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah, tech stuff then.
Yeah.
Well, I guess threaded bottom brackets are making a bit of a comeback, aren't they? Due to their simplicity and reliability. Although most people haven't got a problem with the press fit bottom brackets, and they are lighter.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think that ship has sailed. We need to jump it even quicker, don't we? I'm hearing whispers of wired connections making a comeback.
Wow, like wired gears.
No.
Or Avocet bike computers. Remember them? In fact, you could spend ages neatly wrapping the wire down through your cable and down the fork leg. You remember them?
Yeah, I do remember
they
them.
They were a thing of beauty.
And no, I don't think they are going to be making a comeback. You will not be able to wrestle my Wahoo bike computer off me and replace it with a Avocet. No, I'm thinking more along the lines of wired connections for indoor trainers, like a maze of wires that link everything up. Some people seem to want it, but no, speaking of indoor training, another trend that I hear that's making a comeback is boredom training. Okay, so I heard it first from the mouth of Taylor Finney, but then recently, Neil Henderson, who's Ollie's coach from the Sufferfest for his hour record, got Ollie to do an hour at Threshold on the indoor trainer with nothing to look at but a POV film of someone riding around a velodrome.
Oh,
I know, torture.
Mental training, in more ways than one actually, you could say. Well, to be fair, we all did that, didn't we? Before the inventions of things like Zwift and the Sufferfest, all we'd have for company on an indoor trainer was our Avocet bike computer and our favourite mix cassette, I guess it would have been.
Well, indeed.
Maybe mini disc later on.
Yeah, so maybe the trend we can jump on is a new training app that's completely blank. Because you wouldn't be able to change the trainer, no smart trainers, and nothing to look at. Just nothing. I think there's something to be said for that, mate. It might be that Neil's just taking the piss out of Ollie. But anyway, we know he likes a joke because he did wear his t-shirt inside out for a GCN video not so long ago.
That said, mental training, well, it is part of a bigger picture, really, isn't it? There is something to be said for training like it's 1990.
There is, yeah. It might be effective, but I just don't want to see it come back. A little bit like denim effect lycra. It will come back.
Yeah, I bet it will.
Just don't want it.
I bet you'll see that on a hipster somewhere very soon.
Like Jeff Kabush last year, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah. I missed that one. Anyway, I'll tell you something that will come back. Anti-aero.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, aero's fast, there's no doubt about that. But not everybody wants to look like a slippery dork, do they?
No, that is true, actually. You could possibly take it a bit far. And actually, speaking of anti-aero, there are time trials here in the UK now where they're banning time trial bikes. And I've got to say, I approve of that. I think it's really cool. Yeah, lower the barrier for entry. I would say it's a level playing field, but of course you can be a slippery dork on a road bike. True. But, you know, yeah.
And there's other events that are rolling back the clock as well, aren't they? Like the ultra endurance events, such as the Transcontinental.
Indeed, yeah. It's just like the Tour de France. But in the present day, yeah, Tour de France would be sleeping bags. They obviously never went that far, did they? But anyway, no, these are all things that are kind of happening, but I can't see us making our millions. So what are we going to hang our hats? Where are we going to invest our cash, mate? What are we going to invent?
Well, you could make your own event, couldn't you? Long distance cycling, like the good old days of the Tour de France. And if you did that, I would help promote it by putting it on GCN Racing, the video coverage, in black and white.
Well, I mean, no, I think for like a proper event, we can't have any video coverage. I just want still images. And if you want to see those still images, you're going to have to buy a newspaper every day.
And
my
audio.
Newspaper.
Roving reporters giving you updates.
You mean like a podcast?
Yes. I think we nailed it here, haven't we?
Yeah, okay, the retro podcast.
I can't see us affording Lance's house anytime soon.
No, well, I'll tell you what, mate, what you could do is invent like the new gravel bike, so with slightly wider tyres, but then instead of drop handlebars, to actually get a bit more control and comfort, you could have like flat handlebars.
Yeah, and bar ends.
Well, that's it. To get a bit of a climbing position, you could invent like ends for the bars.
Nailed it.
Yeah, that's where, let's not call it a gravel bike though, let's call it like an all-terrain bicycle.
ATB.
Yeah, because it can go over all terrains. Yeah, I think that's it, mate.
Well, as you can tell, we're not getting anywhere very fast here, so we could probably do with your contributions from at home. What would you like to see making a comeback in the world of cycling, and what would you hate to see on bikes these days? Let us know in the comment section just down below.
Yeah, and finally, speaking of rolling back the clock, Ollie's hour record is nearly upon us, where he's attempting to break Eddie Merckx's hour record from 1972, only with the benefit of nearly 50 years worth of technological advancements. I wouldn't go so far as to say slippery dork, but you know. Anyway, over to Ollie.
I would.
All right, today I'm going to be chatting to Dr. David Spindler, who's a psychological scientist who works almost exclusively with top cyclists, and he's helped, riders like Roe and Dennis achieve their goals and get the most out of themselves. So I'm interested to talk to him because the hour's going to be very tough mentally, and I want to find out if I can think myself faster. How are you doing?
Hi, Ollie. How are you? I'm very good, thank you.
I'm good. It's fast approaching. I'm feeling a little bit nervous. So my dying question for you is, how can you help me in the hour? I mean, can I think myself faster?
Most definitely, actually. Many different cognitive strategies that you can use over the hour to then increase time to exhaustion and lower that perceived effort or level of effort, which means you can go harder for longer.
When you've worked with other top athletes, I mean, what do you see in terms of the difference in performance between someone who is mentally, top of their game and mentally not there? I mean, could you put a number on it in terms of power, or I don't know, or anything like that, or percentage terms?
I don't know if you could put a number on it per se, but you can definitely. That aspect has never been scientifically been studied, but you can definitely see that there is a decrement to performance when between amateurs and non-elite athletes. And they're better at self-regulation, so they're better at regulating their self to then improve performance overall.
So I fall into that camp, which means that it suggests that I'm not as good at getting the most out of myself, statistically speaking.
Statistically speaking, yes. So the way that you regulate your cognitive approach to performance is of lesser quality as an elite athlete.
What can I do to address this?
Well, there's various different ways. So you can, one of the things is you can chunk the hour into smaller sections. So then it's easier to manage a smaller section than what it is a larger one. And secondly, you can do something that Rowan Dennis does, is count to 5. Repeatedly count to 5 over and over and over and over again. He does that with his pedal strokes and lots of other different things. But yeah, that minimises your cognitive ability, and then from there you can then maximise the overall performance.
Anyone wanting to find out more about what we're going to chat about will have to tune into the next feature-length video on GCN about it. But yeah, it's a fascinating topic for sure.
I look forward to working with you more closely, mate.
And here he is, just 6 days away from his attempt that he's been building up for so long. How are you feeling?
A little bit nervous, but looking forward to it. I'm just going to destroy myself, whatever happens. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to it even more than you are.
Oh yeah, that does sound good, doesn't it?
Now, quite rightly, a lot of you have been putting comments underneath Ollie's videos saying that whilst his legs look very aero and everything else, his face doesn't, with that beard look. And so we've got him a present.
We have indeed, yeah, so much so. We got him this. There you go, mate. Wow. Good luck from us.
Yeah. We say we. This was actually sent by Gillette themselves. We're just trying to take the credit, aren't we? But this is their...
Do I need all of them?
It's their ultimate care package. You probably won't need all of them, but you'll need that to start with.
Right.
To get the worst of it off.
The trimmer.
And then you can use any of the blades that you would like after that to get clean shaven, so that you've got a fully sort of slippery, dorky face.
That's right. So yeah, thank you very much everyone for giving Ollie grief in the comment section, for optimising literally everything except his face, because now there is no stone unturned.
Good luck, mate.
Bit of pressure on now, mate.
I quite like having a beard though, but I mean, Bradley Wiggins, he shaved his face before he did his hour record.
True.
Also, I think it could do with a tidy up.
All right, just because you can't grow one.
Yeah, I'm looking at those wistfully going, one day. Maybe when I'm in the veterans category.
You nervous?
A little bit, yeah.
Maybe we'll get a toilet roll supply for next week. It's time to give out 3 prizes for this week's winners of GCN Inspiration. This, of course, is where you submit your inspirational cycling photos and videos using the GCN app. Speaking of which, if you haven't downloaded the GCN app already, you really should.
Yeah.
Go-to place for all things cycling, with all news stories and everything else. Well worth taking a look if you haven't done so already. Without further ado then, in 3rd place this week, Si, is Alex.
Hang on, mate, what are they winning?
Oh yes.
An elite duo pack. So 2 mega Superfly GCN bottles there.
Well, that's handy because this picture has a bike with no bottles in.
Oh, my word.
It comes in from Alex. A beautiful summer sunrise roll Bayside in Melbourne. Just trying to make sure Tiff Cromwell's 2017 bike is having the best retirement possible.
Wow. Well, that's kind of cool, isn't it? Tiffany Cromwell's old bike, and what a day for a bike ride. Amazing.
Yeah, well done to you,
I
Alex.
like that. I reckon those will go quite nicely on that bike as well.
Right, 2nd prize side this week is a GCN Contrast Edition t-shirt.
I'm already wearing it, mate, I'm afraid.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, sorry. We could probably find another one.
Yeah, we'll get you a new one.
Sorry.
And also the Contrast Edition socks.
I'm not wearing those, don't worry. So those will be box fresh. Anyway, the winner this week, and this, I love this shot. This is from George. He says, day 3 of a 12-day training camp in Calpe in Spain after university exams. Much nicer than Loughborough, which is a town in the Midlands here in the UK. And I tell you what, that's much nicer than, I'd say, probably 99.9% of places. That looks incredible, doesn't it?
I tell you what, it looks lovely there, doesn't it? But you know that there's a Spaniard coming around the corner in full-on winter gear and a balaclava because it's only 14 degrees. Shorts and short sleeves for us Brits, though.
Absolutely.
Anyway, second prize to you, George, but first prize this week goes to Rubbish Low. This is Tai Lam Chung Reservoir in Hong Kong. A beautiful day with a very good temperature. Perfect match for cycling.
Whoa.
Does look beautiful over there, doesn't it?
That does look incredible, doesn't it?
You thought it looked a bit precarious, though. That
Well, I mean, I did wonder. It looks like the bike is trying to jump, but hopefully that barrier is higher than it looks, so that they're not going to be going anywhere. But yeah, anyway.
I think Rubbish Low, anyway, is a deserving winner this week of the GCN Complete Stripes bundle in red and black. And don't forget to get involved ready for next week's GCN show. As ever, you can upload them to the GCN app directly.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and we're going to start with some landmark news that short training intervals are more effective than long training intervals.
And less painful as well, aren't they?
Well, arguably more painful, but just for a short amount of time. Anyway, this from the Journal of Medicine and Science in Sport, the Scandinavian journal.
My favourite.
Well, I want mine too.
Yeah. Basically, 18 test subjects did 2 different types of training sessions. So 9 of them did much shorter intervals, i.e. 30 seconds flat out with just 15 seconds of recovery, whilst the other 9 completed the same volume of training and the same intensity distribution, but their intervals were 5 minutes long, with just 2.5 minutes of recovery.
Yes, now what's interesting here is that the test mechanism was a 20-minute time trial, so kind of like more threshold efforts. And actually they showed that after 3 weeks, the group doing 30-second intervals had improved more than the other group.
It's interesting.
It's very interesting, isn't it? And there's part of me that thinks, well, it kind of depends what training they were doing before, but you know, equally,
it's irrelevant to me either way, Si, because I will not be rushing out the door on my bike and doing either of those sets of intervals because both of them sound very painful. So I think we should move on.
You say that, Dan, but you will. I know you will. I know you will. Anyway, yeah, moving on to a story that really grabbed the headlines last week, and that is that car manufacturer Ford have invented a new jacket. And it's a new jacket that's aimed specifically at cyclists.
It is, yeah. We're a bit slow off the mark with this one, Si, and this invention, because what Ford have invented is a cycling jacket that can display emojis on the back, so giving you a way of communicating with car drivers.
I'd like to think it was less that we were slow off the mark, Dan, and more that we were not that stupid. For a start, having
laugh face.
Yes, exactly. Having a message on your back as a cyclist is about as useless as a chocolate teapot, isn't it? Because invariably the car will be disappearing off that way by the time you want to wave at it and give a friendly hello, smiley face emoji. But no, actually, it was more the fallout from it that was kind of depressing, wasn't it? Because there were an awful lot of angry cyclist types of comments.
Well, there are some angry cyclists out there, aren't there?
Yes,
there are some angry pedestrians. There are some angry van drivers.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of angry BMW drivers, aren't there? But I thought this was best summed up in a tweet by Mark Roberts. He put, if, as a driver, every cyclist you encounter is furious at the time, it's a pretty safe bet it's because of your shit driving.
Well, yeah, that is a very good point, actually, isn't it? Very good point as well.
Right, we're going to move on to a couple of bits of racing news now.
Oh, racing news! I forgot. How did it go? The big race.
Oh no! The Gauffin mountain bike race I was due to compete in was postponed due to the storm Kira, that's the one, yeah, one of them.
That's gutting. So it was not only the Dutch headwind champs that went, it was not only that winter gravel race that was cancelled due to winter, it was also the Gauffin mountain bike race. That's devastating, mate. That's another win down the drain for you, isn't it?
Oh, it is, yeah. I was really looking forward to staying on the top step of the podium.
Of the veterans podium.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, this was actually news about John Degenkolb.
Oh.
He is going to have a sector of Paris-Roubaix cobbles named after him.
And it's not because he is a former winner of the race, although I'm sure that helps, but actually it's because he was instrumental in saving the pretty well iconic junior version of the main race. And also, and I didn't know this, but I found it out when reading an article, is that he's actually a patron of Les Amis du Paris-Roubaix, so probably a patron. Anyway, and they are the group of volunteers that are basically instrumental in the upkeep and maintenance of those cobbled sectors. So they effectively allow the race to carry on the pavé.
I like that. I'm pleased that John Degenkolb has got a sector named
yeah.
after him. And in more good news from racing, there was a first last week.
So I bet it's a mouthful with a French accent, isn't it? Degenkolb. Oh, le secteur Degenkolb. Anyway,
Yeah,
sorry.
sounds exactly like that. But yeah, more good news from the Herald Sun Tour last week and in the women's race, where Ella Harris won stage 2, which finished up Falls Creek. And in doing so, she became the first ever winner of the Zwift Academy to win a pro race.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, congratulations, Ella. And speaking of mountaintop finishes, or at least hilltop finishes, Tadej Pogačar, that's the one. Degenkolb, Pogačar. Anyway, oh my word, Volta Valenciana, he won 2 stages and with some eye-watering numbers.
Well, the first of those was a 5-minute climb. Couldn't find his power, but Jack Haig finished 5th behind Pogačar, who won. He averaged 508 watts for 5 minutes and 10 seconds to come 5th.
And how much did he weigh?
He weighs 70 kilograms, it's almost 7.5 watts per kilo. Then on the final stage, Pogačar attacked and won solo, the final mountain stage. At that point, he averaged almost 6.5 watts per kilo for 18.5 minutes.
Oh.
The lad has a little bit of talent.
He does. And do you know what's quite exciting is that he has said he's going to race the Tour de France this year. And so all this talk about Team Ineos versus Jumbo-Visma, but Pogačar,
Tadej! Hey! I mean, no pressure, Tadej, but we want some exciting racing at the Tour.
I think he's going to give it to us. Has he got the team to back him up?
I think he has this year, actually. They've got a decent team. Could be a good one.
Mouth-watering.
It is a bumper edition of Hack / Bodge of the Week now, so we'll rattle through them very quickly. The first one comes in from Jeremy Winfield 2. Wife bought a new wife block.
A wife block?
Knife block. So with a little drillium, I turned the old one into a new home for my Park Tool hex tools and screwdrivers. Get past my slip of the tongue, sire, and have a concentration on this.
Yes, no, let's mind out of gutter. Right, well, I mean, that is a good use of an old knife block, but to be honest with you, Dan, it's not very satisfying. When you see all the tools in there, it just looks a bit sort of like
I think it's
messy.
great.
No, I'm not. I think that's a bodge.
Well, most people disagree with you, Simon, because
What?
88% of app users said that is a hack, and I will agree with the masses.
Well, all right then. Next up, we've got this one sent in by NJDMCL. He says, this keeps the office milk cool overnight. Now, instead of a fridge, like a normal person, actually, this is an inner tube wrapped around his milk carton and hung out the window.
Well, it's presumably very cold, which you'd imagine then makes the office very cold.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, why don't you just keep the window open and keep the milk on the windowsill?
Well, you'd imagine everyone's going to agree with us in saying that that's a bodge. You saying
Sure,
bodge?
I think it's a bodge, yeah.
Yeah, 80% say that's a bodge. Next up, this from Phil Garner. 3D printed a copy of a cassette spline to use an old cog as a chain keeper.
Bodge!
Talking about things making a return, Si.
Wow.
History repeating itself. We've got the return of the chain keeper. Well, that's a hack.
Still making chain keepers. What for? What
Yeah.
are you going to do with it?
As soon as it says chain keeper, it's a hack from me, and 87 people said that is a hack, Si.
87%. To be fair, it's got 3D printing in, which means that my internal, hack bodge calibration is veering towards hack because
It's a hack. It's a chain keeper.
Chain keeper hack. It is. Right. Anyway, Hamish F. Sent this one in. A gold chain seat lock with heat shrink protective wrap to prevent scratches on frame and saddle.
Nice.
Neatly executed. He said John Canning should like this one. I'm sure he will do for your gold chain. I can't help but think it'll be easily defeated with a chain tool.
It will slow them down though if they're determined to nick the seat though. Although they will then inherit a lock that they can reuse, I guess. Bodge?
I think it is. It's a bodge
It's
for me.
a bodge, I'm afraid. Right. They disagree. 62% of people said that was a hack.
Come on, seriously.
Well, this has got to be a bodge, the next one. This is from Roll the Bones, who put Canadian winter lights, pictured by Ops Bikes. I mean, they look bright, don't they? Even though they're not turned on, you'd imagine that there's quite a lot of...
Well, yeah, and we do know that near mythical Canadian winter is brutal, and maybe it's extra dark, so they need floodlights.
Still a bodge though, isn't it?
Yeah, massive bodge. They must weigh an absolute ton, get really hot, and probably rattle around your handlebars.
And 84% of our app users said that is a bodge as well.
Right then, this one from Scott Phillips, 1204. One of our customers made his saddle more comfortable by using expanding foam and an old cloth. Well, that's a terrible wrap job, isn't it? Isn't expanding foam like hard?
I've no idea, but either way, it's a bodge.
It is a bodge, isn't it? Yeah.
And right. Up 97%, unanimously almost, saying it was a bodge. Just 3% saying it's a hack.
I think those 3% were having a laugh, mate.
Oh, I like this one. Steve Wilkes, Campagnolo bottle opener. Cut, filed and shaped an old Campagnolo down tube shifter to make a cool keyring bottle opener. How cool is that?
That is cool. The hipster's choice, Campagnolo down tube shifter bottle opener. I like that very much.
7% of people said that was a bodge. What are you thinking?
I think that's the kind of thing that Campagnolo should probably start making and selling to hipsters.
Yeah.
Thinking of history repeating itself.
Keep it quiet, we'll do that.
Yeah, but we can't make Campagnolo stuff.
No, it's just... All right, I'll think that through a bit more later on.
All right, mate. We've got this one. Now this, I'm not going to lie, Dan, I love. Not only is it 3D printing, it's also genius. So MH3991, his fork doesn't have mounting points for mudguards, so he 3D modeled and printed his own.
Cool.
That's one of my favorite things ever. Amazing, because while you can bodge mudguards onto your bikes, and I have done with electrical tape and zip ties over the years, yes, zip ties, it's really dodgy, whereas that looks genius.
And electrical tape underneath to protect the paint, and hasn't he done a good job with the electrical tape? Very neat and
good. I think he's a bit of a wizard, or she.
We're both saying hack, and so are you. 95%.
Right, on to 5% that said bodge just don't like mudguards.
On to the penultimate one site. Can't find the name of the person that sent this in at the moment. Anyway, it's an iPad holder.
That's a bodge.
Welded. I've welded a bracket so I can rest my iPad on it to see the GCN training videos. Hack.
Nice. Yeah.
It's detachable and sturdy. I'll be fit for the cycling season.
Even cooler than 3D printing is welding stuff. Yes, I like that. That is a hack from me.
And it's a hack from 86% of people who voted.
Woo, nice. And then this one, which we missed from last week, and it was a travesty because actually, I think it's borderline genius as well. So this was sent in by Dave Gamez. He said it's been a cold January in Anchorage, Alaska. Yeah, take that, most of you Canadians, because that's Alaska, which technically I know is obviously there's bits of Canada that's the same latitude, but anyway, it seems pretty hardcore. Anyway, he made some custom boot covers out of R21 Reflectix insulation, which might mean something to some of you, to put over his already winterized lake shoes to ride in minus 26 degrees. And then he put them on under some modified boot grippers with cutouts for cleats. That is amazing. Get out and ride, no excuses, he says.
You could even ride in the British winter with that sort of invention, couldn't you?
Potentially you could, yeah. I mean, we do have damp cold here, Dan.
I know.
Which is particularly a cold.
If you haven't
type
been
of
here, you
cold.
don't know how bad it is.
No, it really is brutal. So yeah, I mean that's why we need mudguards and things like that, isn't it? Really. So yeah, anyone out there who's got some hacks for damp cold, then yeah, have them coming in on the app as well.
Yeah, and don't forget to get involved ready for next week's hacks and bodges. We've already put them up on the GCN app for you to get voting, and we'll be going through them next week.
Time now for Caption Competition, that point of the show where you get a chance to win a much coveted GCN Elite water bottle. All you have to do is stick a very witty caption in the comment section beneath this video, or indeed underneath the video in the app, and then we pick the best and you will win. What was last week's photo, Dan, just to get people
Well, they might not win, depends if we pick them or not. But last week's photo was this one of Matthew van der Poel on the finish line of the World Cyclocross Championships, which he won, of course, and our winner is CS, who put caption, a mudder win for Van der Poel.
Get it?
Mudder.
A mudder win.
Yeah. It's all in the delivery, so.
Yeah, it was. Well, it's fair to say actually, it was a fairly low barrier for entry to last week's competition. But not to demean your victory, win's a win, CS. Yeah. So yeah, an elite water bottle coming your way.
Get in touch with us with a message on Facebook with your address and we'll get that sent out to you. This week's photo comes from the Tour Columbia 2.1 teams presentation, and it is Oscar Sevilla.
Remember him? Still going.
Well, anyway, I should get started.
Has he gone through puberty yet? He hasn't.
He's 43, mate. He does look good for 43. There's no doubt about that. But anyway, here's my caption. Ford new emoji jacket, not as high tech as first thought. Proper smiley face though, there, isn't it?
I like it. Yeah.
I mean, it'd be hard for a motorist to get angry looking at that, surely.
Well, it would. Yeah.
Anyway, let us know your best caption in the comment section just down below, and we'll pick our favourite this time next week. Coming up, what's on the channel? First up, our favourite comments from the last week, starting underneath last week's show. This from Michael Holland. Just mentioned a Salback trip to my wife. She said, it's our wedding anniversary on the 21st of June. I replied, but it's Si's birthday. Yeah. She replied, who the hell is Si?
That's a shame. Well, I picked the next couple out for you, actually, Dan. Steve Lewis said, I say good luck to Ollie, go for it, instead of taking the piss. Anyway, he says, love GCN, but sorry, Dan, you come across as so serious and boring sometimes. That seems a bit mean, because you're definitely not serious. No.
I'm
anyway,
not boring either, Si, am I?
No, you're not. Stephen Kittle also said, asked the question, is Dan beginning to resemble Marty Feldman?
I saw that one.
Yes. It took me a while. I had to Google Marty Feldman. I'm glad I did.
Yeah, you don't know who he is, have a Google yourself. And, well, I'm not particularly happy, but apparently he was a legendary actor, so I presume they meant the funny, non-boring and non-serious.
Well, I think probably a character actor. Actually, is what he's called. But anyway.
Jeremy was a big part of the videos last week, and Les Flynn wrote in to say, Jeremy is a really good addition to GCN. His stuff differs from the content coming out of GCN's central command in the UK, both in style and substance. I'm a crotchety traditionalist when it comes to road stuff, so if Jeremy can make gravel riding in LA look to me, he's kicking goals. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Les. I'd agree wholeheartedly. I think Jeremy is a fantastic addition to GCN, so I'm glad you agree. He's definitely not serious and boring, is he?
No, he doesn't have to feign enthusiasm, does he?
No.
He's just like that.
Yeah, he actually is the world's most enthusiastic man. Brilliant. Another one under that one, Kaylin Augustin said, I really want to ride in LA now. Well, yeah, I do too, actually.
It looked lovely, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
Underneath, can deep section wheels help you climb faster? We had this from 1V. The snot rocket was epic. It was some snot rocket.
It was, wasn't it? I bet you can't do that on a velodrome.
Yeah, I mean, that looked like more than 300 watts there.
Well, yeah, and imagine if you come around for another lap and you accidentally ride over the bit you snotted on. You'd lose it, wouldn't you? Big time, especially with that volume. Yeah, good point. And then finally, under how to ride 100 miles, Cart Guy 76 said, I don't often do 100 milers. But when I do, I ride 112 miles and then run a marathon afterwards. #GTN. Yeah, all right, fair enough. Some of you can run marathons as well. Probably go for a swim beforehand, but anyway.
Maybe afterwards.
Thanks for coming.
Right, coming up on GCN over the next week. Starting on Wednesday, we are going to give you 5 drills to help you improve your climbing. Do you reckon 30-second intervals and 15-second rest periods are in that? Hope not.
We'll have to just reshoot quickly.
On Thursday, we've got 5 mistakes that pro cyclists make. Quite a few case studies around the office to help with that video, weren't there? Yes. And on Friday, we're going to show you how to race on Zwift.
Yeah, on Saturday, we have got the latest update from Ollie. This is the super cool new skin suit that he's got himself. And then on Sunday, Jeremy has been meeting with US National Criterium champ, Justin Williams. This is another video that he shot when he was down in LA. I cannot wait to see this. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm looking forward to that one. Then of course, Monday, Tuesday, it's the GCN Racing News Show over on GCN Racing Channel and the GCN Show.
And speaking of the racing channel side, we've got some live racing coming up this week. Tour de la Provence, which features Nairo Quintana, Warren Barguil and a host of other big name climbers.
Is that a new event?
No, it's been around for a couple of years, but it's got the best field ever. 13 World Tour teams. We've got that live in most of Europe and also most of Asia except for Japan and also New Zealand and the USA as well. So stay tuned for that. And at the weekend, we've got the latest rounds of the Ethias Cross and the Super Prestige Series. So plenty more racing coming up on GCN Racing.
We're getting towards the end of the show now, but there is still time, of course, for Extreme Corner. And this week, I'd say it's about as extreme as you can get, isn't it? This is from the annual Dark Fest competition down in South Africa. And, well, we'll let the GoPro speak for itself.
I think history should repeat itself with much smaller jumps. They look petrifying, the modern ones.
Wow, mate, gravel jumps. That's going to be the next big thing. And then
little tabletop.
That's it, yeah, maybe a little cheeky
Tabletop
look
would be
back.
quite easy on drops, wouldn't it? I reckon I could pull off one.
Next week's video, Dan Lloyd's tabletop masterclass.
Coming to Extreme Corner this time next week. Right, that is all for this week's GCN show. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, you can let us know by clicking on the thumbs up just down below.